What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kevin Moore Show. Now, if you want to stay up to date with all my latest videos, just click that subscribe button below, as it really helps to support the show. If you're new to the show, I interview guests from a spiritual perspective, covering mainstream and alternative subjects. Now, on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Jen Ward. Now, Jen is a unique and very gifted healer. She is the author of many books and an innovator of a healing modality for self-empowerment. Her main technique for healing is one created with her guides called the Sft, the Spiritual Freedom Technique. So, to discuss this technique along with an update on her work, Jen Ward, welcome back to the show. So this is I want to say this is the third time of having you on this year? Third time this year? It is? Yes. I'm going to say yes for you. Yeah. Because I think the first time was in January. The second time was, I believe, the end of February. But we'll link those interviews up, because one was the most recent one was with Marvin.
Right.
So... And just to remind us who Marvin is right now in the work that you do. Marvin's
different than when he was back then. He was Marvin's now my fiance. We're doing work together. So what I do in like helping individuals become more self-realized, he's working on the business aspect of it, and he's doing a similar thing for businesses, and he's really dynamic. Yeah. And right now he's helping me with edit of my books, the new book, Sft Lexicon, the second edition. He has this structure, because my energy, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm all over the place because I do the healing. So I'm so sensitive on all these different levels. I can't pay attention to details in the physical. Marvin is so laser focused, and he's put so much into the books that I wasn't able to put into them. So it's a great update.
Well, that is a good update. Congratulations to you both. That's beautiful. That's very, very nice. So I guess at some point then, because you're in New York State, then and he's in what part of Australia is Marvin in? Your partner?
He's in Wodonga, which is 2/4 away from Melbourne and a third away from Sydney. So people from Sydney and people from Melbourne can come visit us in Wodonga.
Right. Okay. So I guess you're going to be going over there at some point.
As soon as the borders open and they allow me to go over there.
Yeah. Right. Great. Okay. Yeah. Well, I suppose there's been all sorts of resparks of
Yeah.
the COVID in the sense of mutations and stuff, and that's sort of just the way it is right now, unfortunately. But I know,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll get that, you'll get past that, and yeah, that's great news. So
Yeah,
I guess then, for those who haven't watched the first and second interview, let's just you know let's go. Let me ask you the question of what is it that you do?
Okay. So so I so before I developed this protocol of tapping called SFT, spiritual freedom technique, where the person they tap affirmations into their brain, it bypasses the ego, goes right into the psyche and shifts, and they set it in by hitting their heart and then again on the abdomen. And so what it does is it reprograms the energy to bypass the ego's limitations. And so what I do personally is I can read Akashic records so I can see core issues. So if someone comes to me with an injury in their arm, I can actually see the past lifetime where that first got injured. And I can go into their past lifetime, give them taps for that past lifetime, say those taps for then and all the lifetimes all at once. So it doesn't show up in the present anymore and it won't show up in the future anymore. So, yeah. And so the SFT thing is actually a shortcut to getting rid of all your karma, if you want to think of it that way. So the fact that we've all lived enough to be aware, we're just not always aware that we're aware. So this SFT protocol is an upgrade to help you be empowered before you can believe it for yourself, because the ego doesn't want you to believe you're empowered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so obviously, you've talked about the SFT on previous interviews, and I
Yeah.
guess we have the EFT, which is the emotional freedom therapy, and you do the spiritual freedom therapy. How long ago was it that you came up with the SFT technique?
Um, well, I didn't know it was called that back then. I was just, I knew about tapping from another modality that wasn't EFT that used tapping. And I was going to this body worker. It was actually called something called Body Talk. And then I started to come up with taps that he didn't have, the practitioner. And I actually started to surpass what he was doing. And I started to help people around me, and they had been to him and done everything they could with him, and then they still weren't complete. So then I gave them some taps, and it was like took them much further, because it's not emotion. Emotions are the astral plane if we're talking about locations. And what I do is the taps work on the physical, astral, causal, akashic record level, and mental and even etheric bodies. So you get rid of everything on those subtle levels as well. So, and there's always new taps coming out for me. It's like every client I take on is like research, and that's what's in the SFT lexicon. All these case studies of all these taps where people came to me with skin conditions, and then I realized that it was lots of times the skin conditions are like when they were burned alive, or they had smallpox, or had leprosy. So all those issues, I combined all the taps from all the clients that had those issues and put them in the book, the SFT Lexicon, the second edition.
Right. Okay. So now, at the time when you were developing the SFT techniques or the SFT, I guess the modality itself, but you've always had the kind of psychic, empathic abilities there as well. So, do they still play a part in the work that you do? They must do.
I am so sensitive in energy. So people on social media will just say, I have this talent. It's a side talent, but it's part of it, where I can find lost dogs and cats. So all over the world, when people lose their dogs or cats, they just message me and they said, will you help our cat get home? Or you help Muffy get home? And it's really so simple. The cats and dogs just get knocked into primal mode. So they forget that they're so in the moment, they forget that they have a family. So I just energetically go to them and knock them back out of primal mode, remind them that they have a family, and then they just get themselves home. It's that simple.
Right. So whenever you're dealing with people with the techniques that you're with the SFT, then the psychic part of you is working, in tandem with that as well. But
well, it's deeper than the psychic.
yeah, it
though.
is. I mean, how deeper is it? Because you were talking about past life stuff as well.
It's deeper than past lives. It's deeper than, it goes beyond the ego. So it's like anything, the ego is at the same level as the mental realms. So lots of times when people are meditating and they're not having the results, they feel bad that they're doing something wrong, but they're not. They're coming right up against their own ego. And lots of times when people are trying to, through their spiritual quest, trying to surpass the ego, trying to surpass all their issues, the ego will just knock them back down over and over again. So the SFT tapping is a way to address the ego without making it a full-on battle. It just disarms the ego.
Okay, but your abilities. Okay, so let's put the SFT to one side. Then, what are your abilities?
Well, I think everyone has abilities, but people say that I have stronger ones. So when I was just learning, I can move energy with my mind. And so I can see medical intuitive, I can see blockages in the body, and I can see where the stagnant energy is, and I can release it. And then I can perceive an energy, so I can communicate with any form of life, inanimate trees, animals. I know things. I can tap into direct knowingness. And I actually have removed people's issues for them, like a thing called, do you know what diverticulosis
I've
is?
heard of it. No, I can't say exactly what it is. I have heard the name.
Okay, so it's where you bleed from the intestines, and if you can't stop bleeding, then it can really drain you and stuff. So I've helped a few people who had diverticulosis, and I just released the stagnant energy from their intestinal tract, and then the bleeding stops. And usually it's by accident that this is happening, because I don't set myself out to do any of these things, but people innately know to find me when they have an issue. And then, I never really turn someone down. I'll try to do what I can for them. And it usually ends up being pretty good.
Okay, and then that on top of the SFT.
Absolutely. So the SFT, I work really closely with my spirit guides. I call them the adepts. And the adepts, it's actually their protocol. And all the years when I was like floundering, let's call them floundering, they were teaching me, and I didn't realize they were teaching me. I just thought I was floundering. And so I would think about a tap, and what's a tap I could do for to get your energy back for someone. Like if someone is like, say there's someone has been raped, they feel like they've been energetically raped. Something was taken from them and something was shoved into them. So the taps, and I'm considered a shaman. I think what a shaman is basically does is move energy. So as a shaman, I'm enabling the people who come to me to move energy for themselves. So my sense is that me and the adepts are helping everyone who does the taps on their own, and we're actually teaching humanity how to do this, how to use this tool. So after a couple generations, when all of humanity knows how to tap for themselves, they'll realize how omniscient they are, how omnipotent they are, and they won't need to tap anymore. That's how important it is for the world. So what's been really interesting is that Now that the SFT lexicon, the second edition, is out, and it's so powerful because it's a synergy between myself and Marvin's energy, male and female, with the highest intention, highest purity and purpose. People are coming to me who have been EFT facilitators and different kinds of facilitators of different kinds, and they want to be SFT facilitators, or they want to learn how to do the SFT taps better so they can like help their family and help themselves more. So we've developed these workshops where I infuse my energy and all that I am able to into individuals so they can be as empowered as possible.
Okay, and the workshops, are they pre-recorded workshops, or are they live, or a mixture?
No. Oh, no. Those are like, we actually have one coming up at the end of the month. I think it's August 29th, I think. And that one is how to get beyond the mind. So we're going to teach people how to use visualizations and imagination with their abilities to meditate and to set out an intention and to expound beyond the mental realms. Because I don't know if people realize this, but it's kind of somewhat naive. Like, we have polluted air, we have polluted water. We also have polluted psychic streams. I mean, that's what rhetoric and all this social media bullying is. And our mental realms are polluted in lots of ways. So if people have trouble getting to a pure state when they hit the mental realms, a lot of it is because of the pollution there. I know it sounds silly, but you have to like really know how to tap into the higher consciousness beyond the mind to partake of the freshness of higher consciousness.
And with the sessions, where would people go to your website, and where on the website would the sessions be to be able to pre-book them?
Oh, on the menu on top, it says purchase. And that's where you can get a private session with me, which is really awesome, because a private session with me is kind of like taking, between lifetimes, we take an inventory of our life. And then we learn that, and when we come back to the next lifetime, we have all that awareness. So a session with me is kind of like taking that inventory and shifting things before you have to actually die to do that. So it's like it's not quite a do-over, but it's like an upgrade, if that makes sense. So people can I'm still doing private sessions for now, and they can buy the SFT Lexicon second edition on my website. They can sign up for the workshop, the SFT facilitator workshops. We're also offering this on my YouTube channels. We have, which is Jenuine Healing. Jenuine Healing is my YouTube name with a J. And we started these free group tap sessions to address the things about the world. Like, everybody's might be worrying that the world is getting worse and coming to an end. Global warming, war, women's issues, trafficking, all those things that are core issues. We offer this group tapping session where they just have to like send me their email address, so we can send them out an invite on Zoom, and then they can just do the tapping with me and Marvin, and they're like really dynamic. We just started those.
Yeah, and so if you're going to join the free Zoom sessions, then the link, I believe it's on the website. Oh no, did you say the link's on the website, or there's?
No, we need people to give us their email, so they can contact me by the website and just send me their email and say they'd like to be included.
Could they go to the Facebook page and do that?
They can message me on Facebook if they want to, yes.
Okay, so there's a number of ways. So just send you an email just to say that they want to be part of the Zoom sessions. And I do apologize. Is that once a week, twice a week, these sessions?
No, we did an emergency one recently, and that was really profound. We're going to do one at the end of the week, but we probably intermittently, at least twice a month, maybe more. But we really want to help. The issues in the world are when dynamic, aware people are afraid, that's a problem. When dynamic, aware people feel helpless, that's a problem. So we dissipate that angst in aware people, so they're not actually adding to the issues that they're worried about, instead of being a help to them, because we've lost the ability to know how to be of any service, right? The SFT tapping is a way, with the way Marvin and myself do it, we cut through the psychic energies, we cut down the streams of manipulation and the subtle things that are limiting people from feeling the freedom. And they actually feel it when they're tapping. They feel a shift, sometimes immediately. They feel lighter. Sometimes they have a reaction, because I do convert stagnant energy into sound. And so I make the sounds of pain and anguish, and I see bad things as we do the tapping. So I'm emoting, and some people might have a problem with it.
I tell you what, let's have an example of that soon, because that may put some people off to begin with, right? But I think it's good that you say what you just said there, that's how you work. And some people may think that, well, that's a bit odd, but
Well, yeah.
there's
So
yeah, go ahead.
So it is odd, and when I'm doing a group, I'm doing all of the world, right? So there's a lot of suffering going on. So I make these sounds in this anguish, but it's better that you hear it. I mean, it's almost like a way to deal with it by just hearing it from me. It's so much better to do that than have to experience it on the news or feel it in your own psyche that this pain is going on. We're literally releasing pain.
But that pain that you emulate physically, someone could be having a session with you about a breakup or whatever, something a bit more mundane, a bit more personal in a sense.
Yeah.
But you would still go through that process of feeling the pain for that person.
And usually when it's one-on-one, they can experience it as their own pain. And I actually my sound sounds like their cries and their screams and their whimpers. So it's really fascinating to them. So as soon as someone gets used to the noises, they like hearing them, because they know that that's what is bringing on a shift within them.
Yeah. Okay. So also, just going back to the purchases page on your website. So yeah, I've just been bringing up that, the genuine healing sessions that you do, the pets, animals, energy healing sessions, the Beyond the Mind workshop, which takes place on August the 29th. And in the future, once August the 29th has gone by, there'll be other workshops that you'll be doing. And of course, on the screen and then the description, we're putting the purchase page link there as well. And obviously, we've got the SFT Lexicon 2nd edition, which we're going to get more into in just a moment as well. I feel like there's so much we've skipped here, because I know that we've done 2 interviews before, right? And I'm trying not to repeat things, but they're also, trying to bear in mind people that are coming here first time watching this interview as well, that, that they need a bit of grounding there. For those who do the tapping, the SFT techniques themselves, right, who don't have the energy abilities that you do, that doesn't matter, does it? Because it's still as powerful, I guess, if they do it by themselves. Do you want to answer that other than me?
Well, there's 2 theories. The protocol was created specifically so they could work through their issues. The first protocol I did, it was named energetic divorce on the onset, because it was a way for anyone, if they had broke up with someone, or they had a stalker, or they had someone that was really their enemy, that they could do these taps and eliminate all the karma between them and just never have to see them in another lifetime again. And so that was called the energetic divorce, but now it's called the energetic cleanse, because it doesn't only work with just people, it works with jobs, situations, families, groups, beliefs. So it's really powerful. By the way, you can get these for free on my website. jenuinehealing.com. They're called the Sft Worksheets. And so it works like all it is these sentences, and it's like a Mad Lib. You put one issue in all the sentences, just one issue, all the way down. And then you do all these sentences, you say them out loud 3 times while tapping on the top of your head, very slowly, pause before and all moments. So make it very deliberate. A 4th time on your chest, and then a 5th time on your abdomen. And it's been out there more and more for the last few years, and people have found it life-changing. So
and you don't need to have, I mean, because obviously people are going to watch this and they're going to be thinking, yeah, but Jen's got all this ability with energy movement. I don't have that. That's my point. You don't have to have. You can just do it.
Well, if they need that extra help,
you're available for a session.
Actually, no. Through the SFT tab, through my website, through my social media, I've trained myself to expand my energy, and I've ascribed it to the parasympathetic nervous system. So the adepts have told me, if you can help one person, which I do, you can help 7 billion. So these tabs, when people are doing them either from the book or the website, they're doing the tabs, that I put out there for them, they're receiving my help. And a lot of people, and I know this because a lot of people will message me and they say, you helped me in the dream state last night, or I was at the doctor's and you came and held my hand. So, we do this for each other. I'm not the only one who does it, but through the SFT tapping. But
for those who are doing it themselves, if they don't have the abilities that you do, they can still use the taps, do the taps, and they don't need to worry about not having the abilities that you do.
They don't. I'm assisting them through them doing the taps. They don't have to be afraid of anything.
Yeah, but if you're not there, they're not having a one-to-one.
I am there in energy.
Okay, so you're saying that there's an aspect of you, whether you're sleeping in New York and they're somewhere else, you are there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Almost like,
I know it's funny. I know it's funny to some people, but
no, this is your truth. This is how you feel that you're a soul having a human experience, and that soul is infinite, and your energy is infinite. All our energies are, but you just recognize it, that this is how you feel it works.
Well, my past, I've had a horrific lifetime.
Yes, you went from a very abusive past.
Yeah. So I mean, I think in this one lifetime, I've experienced every form of abuse and feeling that the human psyche could feel. And the only way I can make sense of that, Kevin, is to believe that was research, and I went through it for a reason. And so all the work that I do now is to make the most of that pain that I've went through as a form of compassion, or actually a similar vibratory rate for other people. So if you know anything about healing, you like vibratory rates are symbiotic. They resonate at similar frequencies, so that you can help them. Well, the fact that I've had so many different kinds of pain, so anyone out there in a similar pain that I've experienced, I can go to them in sound frequency. I can ride my sound frequency to them.
Makes sense. I get it. Yep. So, and again, you have is it daily SFT updates on the Facebook page, or is it weekly updates? Would you say?
It's mostly daily. There's always something.
So there's always a new daily tap that's that you're posting, which is great. Do you do a newsletter as well? Is that something you do, or?
Oh, we do MailChimps, and that's another thing that people can sign up for on my website, because then they can know when the next group tapping is, because we always send out a mailing. Thank you for that.
Yes, so we'll put a link in the description as well for the mailing list, which is again available on the website as a link, but we'll link it in the description. So,
Mhm.
there is a lot of things. Well, there's most things uh, are able to be healed with the SFT. Now, when it comes to medical conditions, people with medical conditions, you're not saying that they shouldn't be treated, with Western medicine. You're saying that the SFT is a great additional add-on to their healing process.
Absolutely. So people who go to Western medicine, there's no reason for them to feel like they're just like a bystander in their own treatment. And that's how they may feel like, but their body is a live consciousness. So even like before you go in for surgery or something, you want to talk to your body. And it's just like you would talk to it, like you talk to a pet or something with your mind and stuff. And just reassured that this man who's coming at you with a knife is not there to kill you. Because think about it, in all of our lifetimes, in all of our DNA, every time someone came to us with a metal object, it was to kill us. So to have this feeling that when we're not going to be harmed, you have to actually consciously tell your body that instead of just assume that it knows.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely it does. I mean, that could go from maybe an implant, for whatever reason that the body may need it medically. I'm sure the body's not going to like it, and it's that the memory of that implant, if it's taken out at some point, probably remains as well.
So, want an example of that? A good example of that is people who've had like plastic surgery or stuff. Because what happens is I think what happens is they have the surgery and then they're not quite happy afterwards, and they don't realize why, because they didn't release the emotional issues that went with the issue. They just gave it a upgrade physically, but they didn't deal with why they felt so ashamed or why they felt unloved. So I had this client very young on. She had liposuction, and at the insert of the liposuction vacuum, she was really angry. Not her, but her body at that insertion. And it actually, so because I'm so sensitive, I can listen to body tissue, and like people's bodies can gripe at me and tell me what they're mad at and everything. So her stomach was really angry because she had put on belly fat to protect her, to make her feel safe, because she didn't feel comfortable being thin, because she felt like threatened to like get raped or sexual advances or whatever. So she put some belly fat on to protect her. And then what does she do? She attacks herself by sucking out the fat and stuff. So here the body's trying to help her as much as it can, and she turns on it. So that's what the body was feeling. And that doesn't go away. That creates an uneasiness in our own psyche, and it doesn't help us be comfortable in our skin.
As I was saying, there's so many ways to heal with the SFT technique, and I guess when you first sort of was developing it, you had no idea just how many healing modalities there were with the SFT tapping technique as well. And so on Amazon, you've done gosh, how many books do you think you've done? I was going to say about 6 there, but there maybe
19.
Okay, there's much more than 6. Okay, 19. And which would you say the SFT book that you the first edition book that's on Amazon, and we're going to get into the second edition book that's on your website, but the first edition was one of the more popular ones that you did, or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even with just me doing it. So the thing is like I put out 19 books in like 3 or 4 years. That's how much like the adepts have been prompting me to write and assisting people. So I would just compile it. And the reason is that the last 4 years have been like a battleground, literally, psychically, mentally, on all levels and stuff. We've actually been fighting for our sovereignty to awaken as a as a collective. So the adepts wanted me to put out as much as I could so that I could like hold the vibration of truth and love into the consciousness, because it was being eked out in all ways. I mean, if you look at how things are these days, and people don't seem ethical and all that stuff, you have to search harder to find someone who does the right thing. You know, we see it in our healthcare workers and stuff, but not so much in, our governments and everything. So these books, and they weren't edited enough. And they weren't strong enough. Marvin says I write like English is my second language, so that's kind of. And so he's edited out all the ways that it's not natural to
just
like
to get to the point.
everything.
Yeah, I get it. To get to the point with
Yeah.
yeah.
See, like you're doing now for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I get it. I get it completely. And which is a great marriage between you and Marvin, and I can see. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say life's changed for you so much, and I guess when you look back at some of those early days of this work, you would never have guessed that you'd be here right now with the circumstances in your life like they are, and that's a beautiful thing. It's great.
But so people need to understand, because everyone has a story, everyone's going through stuff. They need to know that there is a purpose, and that if they're just going through rough times, just to keep going, because there is a breakthrough. And
it's what their soul needs. It's what their soul needs at the time. It's their purpose.
But you got to tweak that a little bit, because some people will hear what you just said. Like I would hear that and say, when you say this is what you need, people hear, because of all the crap they've taken, they hear this is what I deserve. And that's not the case. It is not what you deserve. What you deserve is to be free of this stuff. And that's why I dedicated lifetimes and went through tortures so I could bring you this Sft worksheets and books so you can do it for yourself and empower yourself.
What I meant by what I said was, just to clarify, that is that nothing is wasted in what we go through, and I do feel that sometimes, like me right now, right? Okay, I'm in complete and utter isolation in my life since November the 5th, of leaving my wife, and then April the 13th of going through a divorce, and then just this week of applying for my citizenship in the US. I've been in absolute isolation. But I look at that isolation now as the healing that my soul needed, not my ego, but my soul. And I feel that sometimes we need the soul needs some isolation for it to heal. And I wouldn't have been able to do that anywhere else. Now, if I looked at it on a human level, I'd be like, fuck that, right? In a sense, right? Because this has been hell, being that isolated. But looking at it from a spiritual perspective, right? No, I get it now. I get it.
And the thing is like, okay, we have this really bad pandemic, right? And
well, that's added to it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that actually, it has its purpose.
Perfect timing.
It sucks for me because it keeps me from
Well,
Marvin.
I understand that.
Otherwise,
yeah.
But what it does is it's isolating people. It's pinning them down energetically, so they can't be distracted by people and other things. It's left them with they still have their self-righteousness and they want for freedom. But were they ever really free? If they're like easily conditioned or easily react. If you easily react to things, you're not really free, because when you're free, you don't have to react to everything that's happening around you, because you understand that, everything is okay and as it should be. But if you think that before you understand that, it puts you in a state of apathy. And you think, oh, everything works out for everyone else, but not me, because that's what the ego does. Yeah. It tortures us.
But let's just clarify for ourselves and others watching this that what the ego is. For me, I'll just tell you what my take on the ego is. It's everything that it's my mind, my human mind, and that's it. So prior to coming into this body, I had no ego. Coming into the body with the mind there, and everything that the logical side of the mind does, that's the ego. But underneath that mind is the soul, the true essence of who we are. I think we need the mind, the ego, and the soul to work together, but sometimes the ego can take over the operation of things, can't it? And it can make things very painful when we don't, when it does get out of control.
Yeah. So like if I want to know anything, if I want to know anything in the world, I just ask the universe, and I call it tapping into direct knowing. So I ask my higher self or the universe, and I get the answer some way. Someone will tell me, it'll come in a dream or whatever. The ego tries to block that correlation, that relationship. So that's why when you dream, you're actually slipping out of your physical body and going and traveling and getting your experiences and regenerating. But the ego doesn't want you to remember that. So when you come back into the body, the ego garbles that and makes you think it's just ridiculous fantasy. So there's ways to work with the ego, but it's always better to be the master of the ego instead of the slave.
Yes, and how does one do that? Just really briefly.
They can do it with the tapping.
Yep, of course.
They can do the energetic cleanse on the id, the mind, the control, and ego. There's actually tabs that I came up with years ago where I separated the mind into the controlling mind and the helpful mind. And then the next tab was to have the helpful mind dissolve the controlling mind. And then the controlling mind was taken up by the helpful mind. So it all became helpful mind. I've actually had people go through enlightenment after having sessions with me.
Yeah, that's incredible, that, isn't it? Yeah, that's so amazing. Yeah. And I can imagine that. And I know we're going to demonstrate some stuff here as well, very brief. But why did you call it the SFT lexicon? Where did the word lexicon come into it? What's it mean?
The adepts.
The adepts. Right. Okay. I don't even want you to answer that right now. I want to go straight to the adepts. Right. Who are the adepts, and how did they come into your life?
Well, in my lifetime as Madame Blavatsky, I would travel around the world and I would go meet these adepts. And then I was visited by them. They're people just like you and I who are so old and aware that they've chosen to keep their physical body and just to be able to work on a physical level to help the upliftment of humanity. So, but they're different. Like the spirit guides, people know, like, have gotten like kind of like over worshipped. So, what there's things about the adepts is they don't want you to like fixate on their personality. They don't want you to worship them, so they stay kind of anonymous as much as possible. Because here's a key that people don't realize: the minute that you worship or put a spirit guide on a pedestal, that process of looking up to them repels them from coming to you, because it's just repulsion, because they're not going to enable you to put yourself down. If you want to meet with your spirit guides, you have to treat them as friends and equals. You have to raise your own consciousness to that level. And when you just worship them, they'll just leave you alone.
Okay. How long have the adepts been with you?
Lifetimes.
In this lifetime?
But,
how long?
This lifetime, they used to come to me when I was a little girl and I was suffering, and they'd help me. So whenever I was like, and it was like they were my group family and stuff. It was like when I was a little girl and I was teased by my mother's lover's boyfriend that we were going to burn up in the house because it was so dry. We only had a space heater. He just liked to taunt and tease us kids and make us suffer. So I was laying in my bed waiting to burn up and terrified. And they came to me and they say, "That's so silly. You weren't born for this. We didn't bring you along for this. You have so much work to do this lifetime. You're going to be just fine." And it was like such a joy that they actually had that compassion for me to help me. in that time.
Do you think you recognized that at the time, or do you think as you look back as an adult you realized that was going on, but you didn't really understand it as a child?
That was so striking. I realized that one. And there was another time there were other times, like I was going to be evicted and I had a week to find a place. I had no money, only a week, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So they came to me there and they had really wise advice. It's like, okay, you can't do anything right now. So don't do anything. So I just went into bed and I just relaxed and stuff. And they said, don't do anything until you have a pathway of or a knownness of what you're supposed to do, and then move in that direction and move towards a goal. And it actually worked out just fine and stuff. But that advice is like that would work for anyone.
How many are there, would you say, in your group?
Oh no, it's not just a group. It's like I'd say there's probably millions. I mean, it's not just a handful.
So you talk, but it doesn't come across as something as vast as that. It comes across as just one voice.
No, actually, there's a couple that I work with more than others, and there's one that I work with who taught me to be so forceful with my sound and use my voice. It's kind of like a weapon. It says, and to like lob off the stagnant energy. So when I do a session with someone, it's almost like energetic surgery, and I'm lobbing off stagnant energy from them. So there's one adept who taught me about that. There's another adept who taught me the healing stuff, and he actually came to me in one of my massage sessions. I was given massage, and he actually came into the room and filled it with light, and he was at the other end of the body, and he was just it's not like he was telling me words. He was just infusing healing awareness into me. And yeah. And I kind of know things where I don't, I haven't studied a lot. I just know things.
Do you think the adepts go by different names to different people?
I think they are different people to different. Yeah, I think there are different ones that work with different people. Yes. They do have a physical body. They do have a personality. They do have.
When you say physical body, you mean physical body in your imagination, not a physical body here right now. You're talking about physical body in a spiritual sense?
On Earth somewhere. So they're not like out. Well, sometimes they walk around other people and stuff, but they're not known as adepts. They just like probably live like me. Like nobody comes to my house, right? I mean, I could be helping people and yeah, same thing.
So you're saying that these adepts, they're not spiritual beings. They are.
Yes.
Okay, well, you're saying they're incarnated, yet but they are also working with you as the adepts. Do they know that they're? Do they know that they're in? I mean, where are they working at Macy's, and then in the nighttime they're working as an adept? Do you know what I mean? I mean,
no. They're totally aware of spiritual beings. They know what they're doing. They have the ability to like come to different people. They do. And their whole purpose is to upgrade humanity and help humans.
So they're incarnated. They understand what they're here for. They're a human being. Mm-hmm. They're watching TV. They're having to go to Walmart to get food. No, they don't. Do they drive?
No, they don't need to eat because they survive on prana.
Life force.
Yeah. So I mean, if you and I knew how to do that, we could do that. Is instead of like, okay, so the sun will put energy into the chicken or the corn, and then we eat the corn and we get the energy the sun's energy. Well, there's ways of doing that where you don't need to, eat the chicken.
So these aren't beings that are passing are known. Basically, these are.
Some of them are known, but there was this group, the spiritual group, who tried to own them as only part of their group, and the adults didn't appreciate that. That's why I'm being coy and stuff. They are known to a certain group, but this group isn't pure anymore. This group doesn't is like more power driven. So what my adopt friend told me is that he he didn't come here to be a mascot for some power group. So it's that kind of thing. So I'm just being coy because I don't want to like
Okay, well
feed
that's
any.
interesting. I've never heard of anyone working with a group where they're incarnated. They're actually on the planet right now, and
Mhm.
they're physical, yet they're working with you almost
If
telepathically.
you
In this
no,
sense.
they can bilocate. They don't need to be in the physical. I can bilocate. I mean, people have seen me in their rooms and everything. So yeah. So it's just the limitations. We've been so dumbed down on what we
Oh
believe is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
possible in energy.
Look, yeah. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm open to it, and
Mhm.
and maybe this is just your way of interpreting what this is, and actually what you think it is, maybe something
No,
much greater. I mean, who knows,
no,
right?
it is pretty great
Yeah.
because okay, so let me explain this. So people who are seeking like source, they want to connect to source, right? They think of it in linear terms like they have to go somewhere else to, but that's because of the limitations of our understanding. How about if becoming more aware wasn't going anywhere else, but just becoming more refined and more balanced with the balance of the universe, because all of the universe is a bunch of toroidal fields balanced and interworking. And our energy system is a toroidal field. So maybe as a human, we're like a little bit wonky or something. Our emotions are over here, our mentality is over here. But as a energetic being, maybe that is instead of going out somewhere to find source, source is just us being more refined in the balance of all
I,
life, all
I
existence.
love it, and I'm all for that kind of thinking because I think the thinking that we've had, it's been human thinking for a long time, and I think that
Mhm.
human thinking needs to evolve a bit, right?
Yeah.
And that includes our spiritual understandings. I mean, just because it's
Mhm.
written in textbooks is out there and it's been the same writings again and again saying the same things does not mean it's that way.
Right.
Does it? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It could
Right.
be very much more expansive and different to that.
but,
And maybe
but Kevin, so how does someone then get past that if that's all they've been taught? That's the beauty of the SFT tapping and the SFT protocols is because you can you can do it on all these vague things like all the programming and conditioning, all the lies you've been told, all the misconceptions, all and you don't even have to know the answer. See, the problem that's happening on Earth is people are trying to figure out who the bad guy is and taking a stand. You don't need to take a stand. You can just do the energetic cleanse with all the power mongers, all those manipulating, all those lying, and then it will release you from the stronghold, no matter what your emotional issue is with someone and why you would believe them, even if they're not
well, let's just
telling you the truth.
let's just look at some of the things it can help with. I would say breaking bad habits, feeling more
Yeah.
confident, um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe improving sleep, memory,
Uh-huh.
reducing anxiety. I like that. That's good. Balancing energy. I mean, there's a lot here, right? The
Confidence.
confidence, um, food cravings, losing
Yeah.
weight, money.
Mm-hmm.
Money is always a good one for me. I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So achieving dreams, which is good. Yeah, and actually, as you were saying earlier on, it's not just about. We're going to get more into these personal things, but there could be humanity. Healing humanity. Larger
Absolutely.
group stuff which is some of the stuff you've just been doing recently as well. Especially
Yep.
with all the things going on in the world right now, which there is a lot. Now, this is the beautiful thing about the new second edition. Yes, the first edition's available on Amazon, but this second edition.
No, we took it down.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Well, then Amazon has just got the other 18 books then.
Right.
So the second edition is available on the website. Now, if you go to purchases on the website, I've also linked the SFT Lexicon second edition book in the description below. Now, there's a few different editions. Now, what this book doesn't cover, how long did it take to redo the second edition? Because you seem to have added a lot here.
Well, what I added was all my experience from the last years of all the research of doing hundreds of clients. So I know a lot more. Sometimes when I wrote those tabs, I didn't even put, with every set of tabs, Marvin made me do this. He made me write something of interest for every set of tabs, like what the issues were that the client came to me for, or why it's so important, or something that's really like a nugget that I've held within me and I just didn't write anywhere. So we put it all in the SFT lexicon, and all the wisdom of all the sessions. I learned something still from every session I do, and each session, all that wisdom is going back into the second edition, where it might have been a little bit more not there in the first edition. So, and there's another thing that's in the second edition that's not in the first edition. So I do research on like the other, like when I was editing this book, they made me watch 60 Minutes, this news show, and they made me watch this I'm talking about the adepts. They made me watch this boring thing about aging and everything. And the reason they did that is they wanted me to see what the cutting edge reasons for dementia were, and to make tabs up using the cutting edge research and put those in the book. So that's what I do for like the anti-aging ones, is like the I can't even think of the word right now, but things that, like, you watch these drug commercials and they'll give you little, this is what happens, this is how the drug works, it'll block this or this. And so what I do is create tabs on that, and those are all in the books, along with the past life issues and stuff. So it's working on a molecular level as well as a past life level.
Yeah, we're just putting a few of the table of contents pages up on the screen right now, just to show some of the various subjects. And I guess when you use the C word, are you talking about cancer in there as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you say it to do the tabs, it's okay to say it then because you want it the harsh word. But so I've gotten my friend, she was like 74 and she had stage 4 breast C, and I gave her a bunch of list of things to do to help her. And she actually got over it. She wasn't even doing the tappings, but just with my help, she got over it. And one of the things I told her was, don't ever talk about it. Don't make it a topic of a subject of conversation. If people ask you how you're doing, you tell them you're doing great. Don't accept their sympathy. Just be matter of fact, because you don't want to own it. You never call it my C word or my backache or my this, because once you name it, you own it. So, and saying my about anything like that is like gluing it to you. So, and so a year later, she went back to the surgeon who did the operation, and he said, we thought you were one of the goners. We thought you were a statistic, and we're happy to see that you made it and stuff.
So you think by saying the actual word is actually giving it power, or bringing it into reality?
It's a vibratory rate.
But it is there though. It is in the person.
I don't see the person as a solid being as you do. I see the person as an emanation of light and a frequency of sound woven together in the illusion of form. So the more you believe in the illusion of form, the more it is solid for you. That's right. And that you may struggle a little more. But if you can see things from my point of view a little bit, that everything is sound frequencies, and everything you think, say, do, and believe is the vibration, and you're a compilation of everything you think, do, say, and believe because of the vibrations that you're attracting. So if someone is saying, if someone is talking about how miserable they are, or how they had this bad backache in the past, or whatever, their mind doesn't know past, present, or future. It only knows the moment. So if you're complaining about something that happened in the past, it's happening in the present to your mind. So you're bringing it into the present, and you're holding that vibration in your energy right in the moment.
What don't you cover in this book is something, something I could say as well. And there's different versions of this book. Is that right? There's the
Yeah, there's a hard copy, which is like I call this book the textbook for life, because this is the book. I didn't even know I had this book in me. The adepts say, okay, because I just made up taps for years and put them out on social media for people to help them. For backaches, for money, for weight, for all these things. I just put them out there. I did taps of the day, every single day. And I just did that. And the adept said, okay, just do that for people, and then just put them in a folder. So then one time they just said, okay, now take that folder of them on physical issues, put them together, because this is really important for humanity. And this is the go-to book. Now, in the third dimension, people are really attached to having some kind of holy book or some kind of reference book for life, but they're outgrowing their book, so they don't have anything. So the adepts consider this the upgrade for those in the fifth dimension. Those who are awakened can use this book as that crutch if they need it for a crutch, or that go-to book, because it's not going to subjugate them in any way.
Understood. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that as well. Do you want to just very quickly demonstrate a tap as well? Now,
Sure.
with these taps, you can obviously print off the taps, and I've always found it very difficult when I've done the taps with you before to remember the script that you're asking me to remember. So if I had it printed out in front of me, which you can do as well, I wouldn't need to remember it then. I would just read it off basically.
Yeah, except the thing is the ego has all these tons of sabotage to prevent you from doing these taps. Now you want to shift, your higher consciousness wants you to shift, but the ego wants to have pain and misery, because it's just exciting. It doesn't take it as bad, it just takes it as drama. It enjoys it. So when you can't say a tap, or you don't want to say a tap, or you don't feel like saying it, that's all sabotages of the ego trying to prevent you from shifting.
What, even if I can't, even if I read it off, if I read it off a bit of paper, then I'm reading it then, aren't I?
Right. Yeah, but then the thing is, then you depend on the paper. So when I do sessions with people, I don't let them do that, because I'm trying to talk to them and they're writing when I'm talking to them. And that's the ego saying, F you, Jen, I'm not going to listen. So I have to catch all these sort of ways that they sabotage themselves. And one of the ways is just to read it without like taking it in, like mechanical. You can read them, and it's better than not doing it. But it's better if you don't have to read it when you're actually saying.
Yeah, I'm just a reading kind of guy. I just prefer, that's just
no,
me. Yeah,
I understand.
I can't remember. So what?
Okay, so you want to do it?
What were you just doing there, just for the audience? What was that?
Okay, so I was getting ready to do a tap for you and the audience. So people in the audience will get a release from this if they're sensitive to energy.
Okay, so that's what you were talking about earlier on, where you take on the relieving the pain. Okay, just so we're all...
I don't take it on. I convert it into another form of energy, which is sound, and then just dissipate it. That's why you don't have to be afraid of taking on karma with this, because you don't. So so when I make these noises, so I just tuned into people and seeing what's happening for them, and actually you as well, Kevin. And so this tab is what came to me for you guys to release. And now I never say why we say we, because when you say I, you alert the ego that, it's important and stuff. So we don't refer to the I, and we don't put a spotlight on the ego by saying we, and we're all in this together. Okay. So the tap is going to be We untangle our energy in all moments. So you say it that intentionally and you pause before the statement in all moments. So you're not just releasing it right now, you're releasing it in all the past, all the future, and all peripheral lifetimes or realities in all moments. And all the energy you're releasing is coming back to you in the moment so that you have more reserve. And that's how you get empowered, because that's what basically a master is, or an adept is someone who's dissipated all those peripheral lifetimes and experiences and brought all of their energy into the moment. So that's what you're being helped to do. So we untangle our energy in all moments. 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 I know I don't even like to hear these sounds, people. How is that, Kevin? Should I do another one? Because there's another one that's coming through.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Let me do that. So a lot of people are struggling with still being in linear time and space instead of realizing we're not stick figures, we're starbursts. So, so a lot of people who are aware are still like getting caught up on the linear. Like when you imagine energy coming into your body, you imagine it coming down the top of you, but it's actually coming at you in all directions, and you're emanating it out in all directions. Something like that. So this tap is, we release being trapped in the linear we release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. We release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. We release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. We release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. We release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. We release being trapped in a linear existence in all moments. Yeah, some of you felt that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for those examples. Yeah, I mean people can come to you with so many various different issues that they may have, and you know, even what's in their second edition book, I mean, there's so much more, isn't there, than these?
Yeah. And what's interesting is there's no blueprint when someone comes to me. It's not like they get, like, I've heard people go to like someone who reads them and then they hear the next person come and they say the same thing. I never know, because I read people, I don't have a script, I don't know who they are, I don't know what they're about, I won't let them tell me their issues. So I'm just reading them like blind, and I go much deeper that way. So no two sessions are ever alike. And oh, by the way, people can watch some actual sessions on my YouTube channel.
Oh yes, that's right. Yep. Should we link that in the description below, your YouTube channel?
Please.
Because you're also doing a I want to say you do a show with Marvin. Is that weekly, monthly?
It's we try to do it a couple times a week.
Yeah, it's great. I want us to say that. it's Jen in.
Did you watch
Yeah,
it?
I've watched it. I've watched Jen in her jammies, and we're just putting a clip on the screen right now. And yeah, I don't know where you guys got this idea from, but it's great, and it's you guys sort of going just into just detail about one facet of the work,
Mhm.
you know, rather than going. And I know Marvin does his best to sort of keep you, you know, concentrated on that subject, right?
Oh
Yeah,
God.
he's great at doing that. Yeah, because it's so easy to get off tangent, isn't it? Because there's so much to your work, right? But you guys
Well,
do an interesting show.
it's funny because he tries to prep me before the show, and it's that in itself is a show because he goes and he's like, you can see his face when I go off script. So he says, okay, we're going to talk about this, and what are you going to say? And I go, I'll say this, and he goes, right, perfect. And then we're going to talk about this, and what are you going to say? I'm going to say this, right, got it, perfect. And then when it comes to record, and he says something, and I go totally off script, and you can see it in his face. He doesn't know what to do with it, and I just totally ruined his structure, and
So
that's the way it
yeah,
goes.
no, it's great. It's highly recommended because I think that you both have done a good job on that show, and I know you know it's something you guys are going to continue, which is great. And you know,
Mhm.
it's just I did enjoy watching a couple of them. Now you obviously have had many clients come to you over the years, right? And there must be a lot of results that have come from people coming your way as well. A lot of results. Do you want
Yeah.
to just talk about some of the massive changing results that you've seen with some people?
Well, this is really interesting. This one was this a client came to me, and her grandchildren had lead poisoning, and yeah, and she was devastated because they were living in an apartment that they rented to her, so they felt responsible. So in her private session, it went to a past life in the like 1920s or maybe earlier, when all the immigrants were coming in, and it was like immigrants were a dime a dozen, so there were slumlords and stuff. So she and her husband were slumlords, and these were immigrants that had came to live with them. And she kicked them out. They kicked them out in that lifetime, and they died. And so this was her like punishment. It's like, okay, if you're going to be so cruel to them, you know, this is you looking at it now. They have lead poison. So it was just like that, the correlation and stuff. And we did a lot of taps on it, and then they went back and they got the grandchildren got retested for lead levels, and after the session, they were in the normal range.
And that's just one story. I mean, there's many others.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
But so that from that though, I knew what I'm capable of doing with
yeah,
stuff. So
right.
I've actually been working for humanity. I know a lot of people are afraid to get their vaccinations and stuff, and I understand that, but they don't know how hard I've been working under behind the scenes and stuff. I've been purifying the bejesus out of all of these vaccines, so all the nefarious intentions, all the things that they possibly could open them up to, have been shut down. And they're pretty pure because I know what I'm capable of doing, and that was one of the things I've done. So if anyone's out there and is afraid to take their vaccine, I actually I actually allow them to like message me, and I'll specifically blast out their vaccine for them so they feel reassured and they can take that. So that's just another little humanitarian service. There is another one that's documented like that. This regular um, client, she had all these fiber. She was fine, right? Her health was fine. And then suddenly she went to the doctor. She had all these little baby fibroid tumors all in her lower abdomen and stuff. And it was alarming because they weren't there before. So I tuned in for a session. And wouldn't you know it, she had a new friend. She wasn't a new friend, but she started like really dumping on her. And she was dumping these really life events on the client. I go, why are you letting her just pour all these things into your body? She goes, well, she has nobody else. This woman knew how to, and people know how to do this. She knew how to stroke my client's ego to allow her to dump on her. I go, she's using you. She's manipulating you. She's stroking your ego on purpose, and she's poisoning your body. So I did the session with her, and I made my noises, cleaned her out. And then when she went back to the doctor for another scan, they were gone.
Okay. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I know you've got a gift. Absolutely, you have, and um, uh, yeah, and I know that you've helped a lot of people as well, and I think that we're all at the level of, like, well, we can accept, or we can, I'm ready to hear things, but I mean, if I can't accept them, or if I find it difficult with my own barriers, that's just
Yeah.
and other people are the same as well. But there's some great stuff that you've done, but
It doesn't hurt my feelings.
no,
I don't care about it.
yeah, good,
And you know what my
good,
my justification is, just telling whatever I do, is because I could see if the world was running in perfect synchronicity, everybody had enough, there was no suffering, there was no turmoil, there was no injustices, then I would say I could be batshit crazy, because you wouldn't need it. But the fact that reality is so batshit crazy, that maybe the cure is something that you haven't thought of before. Maybe possibly it's something new.
yeah, and maybe you're tapping into some aspect of that, and it's not all that you think, but it is an aspect of it, of what we understand at this very moment, and that's good enough, because you're putting some good work out there just based on that. But what this really is, that's it's never going to make itself fully aware, because we've got to get on with this reality, and
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Well, the thing is that that I have nothing. Before I met Marvin, I had nothing to lose. I didn't care. I mean, I thought I was a monk. I went lifetimes, decades without a relationship. My family has all, rejected me. I have no really reason to be here. So there's no, and I think that's by design, because I have nothing to lose by telling you everything that I do and what I believe I do, because I don't care. And that attitude, and it takes a lot of courage, because I was always in abusive families, and I was the one they were telling to shut up all the time. I was stupid. They didn't want to hear what I said. And so to overcome all that, there's got to be a reason where I finally have a platform to speak. So people not believing in what I do, I don't really care.
Here's an important, well, I think this is an important question, but obviously, with the work that you do, you're mixing with a lot of people that are on the path to enlightenment, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the reasons that people want to, they want to get to an understanding, or try to be able to tap into that greater part of themselves, which holds a lot of the answers that they're looking for, right? How can people get there, and how can they sort of contribute towards their own rising of their vibration? I mean, is it through, would you just say, doing some of the work that you've talked about in this interview?
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about the SFT lexicon, second edition, and my work in the tabs is, you don't have to ascribe to anything. You don't have to believe anything I say. You don't have to join anything. You invest in maybe the cost of the book, and basically that, and then you're set. And then you have a tool for the rest of your life to be omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, without having to give your energy into worship. You don't have to kneel in front of anyone. You don't have to do, everyone's so tired of that. So just for that alone, that they have something that they can have for themselves and work with themselves, I think it's a miracle in itself.
Absolutely. So let's just recap again. Your website, Jen, is?
Jenuine, with a J, jenuinehealing.com.
Okay, so that's been coming up on the screen throughout this interview as well. That's just for the podcast. And if people want to reach you on there, they can just email you directly on the website. Facebook as well.
Yeah. And my Facebook is either Jen Ward or Jenuine Healing. No, Jenuine Healing Sharing Circle. So they can join that group if they want to. And I actually have another page on Facebook. It's like Real Men Love Their Plushies. And so it's actually men hugging their teddy bears or whatever, their plushy dog or whatever it is. So it's our attempt, and Marvin's on there. He's so cute with his teddy bears. I got him, and the point of that is to allow male energy to embrace their more sensitive energies, because that's what the world really needs.
Yes, if only we could get a few Taliban to do that as well. Do you know what I
I was just thinking that. Wouldn't it be awesome?
Yeah, it would be.
I would love
So,
that.
so that's all in the link in the description as well. Those Facebook pages that you just mentioned as well. So, Jen,
Oh,
is there anything
and the
else you want to
YouTube
mention?
page.
Oh, the YouTube page. Yes,
Yeah.
that's in the link. What is your YouTube page, just for the audio version?
Jenuine Healing. And there's like 3 podcasts. There's like Jen and her jammies, then there's private sessions, and then there's some conversations with Jen.
Interesting. Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I highly recommend your work. I think the SFT is very, very interesting, very worthwhile, and very helpful. And with so many modalities to sort of get into, and so many paths to help you heal on whatever issues that you may be having right now. So I think that's so important. And I just want to thank you for coming on. I don't think we're going to cross paths for a while. I get that feeling. Yeah. But when we do next, you might be in Australia, so that will be interesting. Do you ever think to yourself? I know I should be going right now. I'm closing this down, but do you think to yourself there's other reasons why you're going to Australia as well?
I know there is.
Yeah.
I know, because me and Marvin have held half of the same vision. We actually are going to be creating this spiritual community, like a Shambhala or something, where it's going to actually be this energy source for sustainable living, but healing and higher vibratory rate, and it's going to be this amazing place.
That's interesting. Do you think that Australia is about to go through some massive shifts that may be a bit painful for Australia in a couple of years?
No, I don't. With me there, I don't foresee them going through a lot of pain. There may be shifts, but they'll be probably pleasant shifts. That's just my thing and stuff. I think other parts of the world might be going through pain, but they're going through pain right now. It's how much pain, it's not like the news really reports pain anymore or anything like that. There's suffering going on all the time. There's shifts happening all over the world now, but we just don't have privy to it.
No, we don't. And there's so much going on, I think. And, it's only the big news stories which are picked out. And I only asked that question because maybe I've been thinking about Australia, and I don't know, maybe there is some shifts in places that we wouldn't expect them to be. And that's the only reason why I asked that. And maybe in a couple of years, we will come back to this conversation, right? As to why I asked it, and where you are on your journey, and I really look forward to seeing you on this journey now, because I think there's some really exciting times ahead for you, and it's beautiful to see how when you stay in alignment with your work, how it's never been easy, but look where you're heading now. So congratulations on everything, and just thank you for coming on.
Thank you. You're amazing. You're a gift. You're a gift to the world yourself. So thank you.
Well, that takes 2 to recognize that for each other as well. So I recognize that in you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.